Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/EntitledKarens. In today's episode, the most messed up Karen I've seen yet. Posh entitled Karen and a radiator checkup. Karen in a Cadillac. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. The most messed up Karen I've seen yet. This happened a few weeks ago. I take the train to travel to and from work. The train rides are fairly peaceful journeys, even if there's one person blasting music loudly or someone else screaming. However, I was not expecting this. For clarification, we'll call her kid C, and the Karen of this story EM. For me, I'll be going by M. I was sitting on the train and waiting for it to leave the station. A mother and her son walk on and sit in the seats behind mine. I bring a word search with me to pass the time. As the train moves, I feel a small tap on my shoulder. It's her kid. "See, nice mask. Where did you get it?" he asks with a little smile. Thanks, my mother made it for me. She makes masks out of fabric and sells them to help others. I responded. He then asked the question I was not expecting. "See, can I have it?" I replied with no, as the mask has my germs and these are challenging times. He just turned away, a little disappointed as he went over to where his mother sat and told her about what I'd said. I then felt someone grab me by the shoulder. Why did you tell him no? It's just a mask? He's interested in it. I told him no because it has my germs and saliva, and it would be unhealthy for him to wear it. I also explained to him that these were challenging times. From that, the EM turned away and pouted at me, glaring at me until she needed to take her son to the bathroom, and stood up. For those of you wondering if this encounter had ended yet, it wasn't over. The train arrives at another station, and a blind person with a black guide dog walks onto the carriage and sits down in the disabled seat. As soon as the train starts moving again, the EM walks out with her son in tow, and lets out a gasp of horror, like she'd just seen a crime. Who allowed that thing on the train?" She pointed her finger at the disabled person. I thought she was pointing at the woman, which was quite rude. I then noticed she wasn't pointing at the person, but their dog instead. The other people on the train ignored this, but I wasn't the type of person just to watch someone, whether they be a human or animal, be abused. I stood up and walked over to her. Why are you being so rude? It's just a service dog. It's not hurting anyone. I explained. The blind person looked distressed at this point. The EM looked at me and then gave me a reply that really annoyed me. But it's a black guide dog. Black animals shouldn't be allowed on this train, they shouldn't be allowed anywhere. I was deeply hurt by this, and thankfully the train arrived at her stop as soon as she finished talking. She flashed me an angry glare as she left. I was glad it was over. Update. About 2 weeks ago, I encountered her again on the train, and she accused me of stalking her. I ignored her and went to go sit down somewhere. As we were nearing the city, the train stopped. I assumed there was another train at the station or another train was crossing onto the tracks. EM got up and pressed an emergency help button. The operator answered, and I saw her take a deep breath. Why is this train stopping? My son has an appointment in an hour, and will be late because of you. Move this train right now, and get me the manager. She practically screamed into the recording device. As I watched this, I honestly thought she was high. She wasn't behaving this erratically during our last encounter, and I hope her kid is alright. I haven't seen her since, and never want to again. It would be difficult for me to witness what you describe. I too hope her kid is okay. If she's that worked up about black animals, I shudder to think of her feelings about humans with an abundance of melanin. Hoping she's just a superstitious moron instead of an all-purpose bigoted fool. She reminds me of the Karen I used to live across from when I lived in an apartment. She used to complain that my dog attacked her and barked all night to animal control. My dog is a black lab/Rottweiler. But he never attacked or barked. There was a small Chihuahua who lived next door to her that would bark though. What a monster. Small consolation though that pressing the emergency help for a frivolous reason should come with a fine. Hopefully she been banned from using the train. What an awful woman. Are you really expecting any of us to be so gullible to believe this actually happened? Posh entitled Karen and a radiator checkup. Just had a fun phone call. Had to call someone to tell her that her radiators weren't getting checked today because the boiler man had gotten stuck doing what's called a trace and repair. What followed was a 20-minute discussion about how we don't compensate people for having their time wasted, that rebooting an appointment and canceling an appointment are in fact two different things, that my having a regional accent and speaking too slow aren't going to change just because some entitled cow thinks I sound stupid and disagreeable, and that I can't rebook appointments to timescales that I cannot rebook them to. 90-minute appointments don't exist, nor do evening appointments for radiator checks. She wouldn't even let me explain the organization's complaints process to her without mistaking not getting the answer she wanted for my refusing to answer and shouting no over me. I eventually hung up, which I'm quite pleased I'm allowed to do, because frankly she was hurting my ears. I'm also pleased calls are recorded so when she calls in and starts her bullying the facts are there for whatever poor schmuck of a manager falls under her guns. She can't even complain I've inconvenienced her, because the housekeeper will be available for us. I absolutely hate dealing with affluent people. Their comprehension of how the world works is completely warped by how little strife they experience. Shouting at someone isn't going to change the fact that the boiler man is trying to fix a gas leak in someone's CH system. Screeching and implying they're stupid because you don't like the answers they give you, that they don't have a choice in giving it that, isn't going to get your appointment rebooked to sooner than being polite about the situation is. Entitlement is a severe moral failing, I swear. I can understand why people would expect evening visits. It's kind of normal in 2023 standard practice if heating has been lost rather than just a checkup, but still common anyway. But I absolutely agree that shouty bastards shouldn't get special treatment. Unfortunately things then get escalated, and it seems to me that pointiest elbowed shouty people do indeed get the best service, the most compensation and works that wouldn't be approved for most of us plebs. Source: the spreadsheet of 300-ish insurance complaints I'm currently working through. Oh, well, for repair work we do offer longer hours, and for emergencies, gas leaks, huge water leaks, electrical faults, we do 24/7. Just not standard yearly checkups. A genuine example of the entitled Karen who truly believes that the world revolves around her. Boiler man had gotten stuck doing what's called a trace and repair. Wait, I saw this movie before. Was the boiler man a bountiful lady in tight jean shorts? Entitlement is a severe moral failing is the truest words I ever hear. Like it's something which previously was only really reserved for CEO and etc. But these days it applies to every fourth person because they all want to be a big shot. And I absolutely hate people who talk over the answer they need because you start explaining things which are not the exact thing she needs at that moment, but will need when she actually realizes how to file a complaint. Though I guess entitlement and pride are essentially similar things, but I think when coming to sins they express themselves slightly differently. I do love a good story about a wealthy Karen being told no and not being able to comprehend the word. I agree she shouldn't have yelled. But your company's policies sound pretty crappy. Karen in a Cadillac. I recently took some items to donate at the local Salvation Army. The entrance to the drop-off is on a major boulevard in my city. I turned right as I always do into the long driveway next to the shop and stopped at the back of the donation truck parked there. As I was unloading, a Karen in the wild driving a Cadillac drove down the alley and pulled into the exit of the driveway and stopped 10 feet in front of my car, getting out with a bag of donation goods. She shouted to me, saying, "Now how am I supposed to get out now?" I said, "Lady, you entered the wrong way." And she says with great disdain, "Well, I always go this way." And I said, "Well, look at the arrows," and pointed to the painted arrows on the driveway going from the main street to the alley. She then actually let out a "Why?" I never scoff and proceeded to put it in reverse and screeched to the alley, hitting a trash can. If she never has, maybe she should? Next. FYI, her hitting the cans was also your fault. Should have beeped the horn and given her a thumbs up when she hit the trash can. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.